It's just fantastic. Captain's log, subdates 220113.7. 2 days until my age is finally recognized as one step closer to a care home. I think my crew know this though, as I've seen at least 4 Zimmer frames and 3 care home brochures during their rounds. I'm going to kick Scutterbork in the utility ghoulies for this, because I know he's responsible. Welcome everyone to the exhibition of stupid people. Today we're going to start with some art. Oh, that rhymed. The art in question comes courtesy of a girl who went and got her very first tattoo. Cute. Unfortunately though, she asked for a cute smiley face and asked her boyfriend to be the one to perform this artistic duty. Now I know we all have opinions on tattoos. I hold one of near indifference, but generally speaking, when you want a tattoo done, you want it done by a professional. For obvious reasons, they are after all professional. If you ask someone who is not one, chances are you're not going to get what you asked for. So say for example you wanted a smiley face, something you would see in an old hippie t-shirt, created by Forrest Gump of course, or the regular emoji smiley face. Well, if you ask for that, and then ask your boyfriend to go and do it for you, for them to create something unique, something, let's say, rad, chances are it's not going to be as rad as you requested. Here is the tattoo in question. I think it's absolutely resplendent, and it's a reasonable one, I don't think it was what she asked for. This is one of 2 mistakes that the lady made. The other was that she shared this to TikTok with the caption, "Life is temporary." This unfortunately isn't. The problem this lady has is, well, as much as she cried about it and agrees that, she can get it covered up, many people underneath, well, they liked it, saying, "Wait, it's kinda cool though, I'd be happy with that." Another, "No, I love him so much." As a final point, if you love and trust your boyfriend enough to do that, how many steps back has your relationship taken if you didn't get the result you wanted? Also, if your boyfriend's not a professional tattoo artist, how dumb are you in the first place to get him to do that? Oh, and of course, the vastly more important, if he just put a ring around the outside of that, would it still be okay? Have you stopped crying now? Should we move on? Because I want to go back a couple videos and revisit somebody we've covered before, called Stephanie Matto. In episode number 156 of the exhibition of stupid people, we spoke about Stephanie, because Stephanie's a hustler, a philanthropist with potential. She rose to fame on a TV show called The 90-Day Fiancé, and during lockdowns, well, she needed money. So she turned to the thing she knew she could use to turn, well, a pretty penny. To her many, many followers, she took her ingenuity and escalated it by altering her diet. She also basically looked at Belle Delphine's bathwater and went, "I'll see your bathwater and raise you 1 jar of flatulence," where she would make, in a week, £38,000 from selling farts in a jar. Now, yes, it also had some petals in and perfume, but underneath that vintage cork was some quality tooting. I'm sure we all have a favourite year for flatulence, like a fine wine, unless it's corked. The same applies to parping. Now, Stephanie Matto, not long after that video, was trending again, because this time, rather unfortunately, she was hospitalized. No doubt her 260,000 followers were highly distressed at hearing this or reading it. So what happened? Well, with the demand being so high, Stephanie was selling up to 50 jars worth of farts a week. With that, she had to adjust her diet to get the very best out of it. To do this, she would consume 3 protein shakes, bowls of black bean soup, and eventually, something went wrong. Pressure was building up in her stomach that found itself moving upwards throughout her body, with her admitting she was struggling to breathe, and when she did, she felt like she had a pinching sensation around her heart. Because of that, her anxiety escalated. She thought she was having a stroke, not knowing the symptoms are nothing like that. She also believed that she might have been having a heart attack at the ripe old age of 31. Which of course could well happen, I know, but let's just get to the logical conclusion here. You see, upon closer examination, the doctors advised she change her diet and take gas suppressant medication. Why? Because she had trapped gas. All she had to do to get rid of the pain was lay on her back. I found I had this incident once where I drank far too much Dr. Pepper, About 5 years ago, I laid on the bathroom floor and my sister's husky came in and flumped on my stomach. All of a sudden, I was free of this burden, this discomfort that was causing me so much aggro, and I had a fresh new problem of a rather hefty husky laying across my stomach, with me incapable of moving because she really dug those elbows in. This does mean, with Matto having to change her diet, that her business is over. So I'd like you all, if you can, to simply leave a comment, an F, for the failed flatulence franchise. And yes, I like alliteration. So next we go to a story from South Korea. I know, we're going to that place. Quite frankly, enough is enough. People there are done. They're done with the tyranny, the propaganda, the abuse of basic human rights, the weapons tests, the porky dictator, and worst of all, not being able to bask in the glory of Kim Jong-un's supreme tenor lady glow. For this, South Korea need to answer many, many questions. Most important of all, when are you going to give Kim Jong-un his tendies? So the reason I bring this up is because for several hours, a South Korean was able to evade detection despite a search operation by South Korean troops because they had crossed the heavily fortified border into North Korea, with military chiefs in Seoul saying they didn't know if the person was still alive, but had sent a message to the North asking for them to be protected, which is amusing. Why? Because North Korea has implemented a shoot-on-sight policy because of the COOF pandemic. It's also amusing because back in 2020, North Korean troops shot and burned a South Korean fisheries official who went unironically missing at sea, with that particular incident causing a considerable uproar. Also during the pandemic, Kim Jong-un had declared a national emergency and sealed off an entire town after a North Korean defector, who Mr. Kim said had COVID symptoms, crossed into the north from the south. Unsurprisingly, because of the introduction of COVID rules in North Korea, the number of defections from the north to the south has reduced significantly, which I'm sure will make Porky Tenor Lady Emperor very, very happy. And just to give it some scope of how impressive it is someone managed to make the crossing, the region between the north and the south is one of the most heavily fortified. It is filled with landmines, surrounded by electric and barbed wire fencing, along with there being many surveillance cameras and a vast number of armed guards who are meant to be on alert 24 hours a day. So clearly, the man who had made the crossing, or woman, was desperate for some of that OMAD diet. OMAD in this instance standing for one meal a decade. There is no doubt in my mind that the vast majority of you will have heard of Ethan Klein, of the H3H3 channel or H3 podcast. Many of you will have opinions about him. Many of you will undoubtedly have heard about the interactions of late concerning Joe Rogan. I personally do not care which side of the fence you sit on. I have no opinion on this one. It's just amusing to me to see a man go from being untouchable, from the content nuke where he introduced nothing new at all, to becoming arguably one of the biggest jokes in the commentary sphere of YouTube. Now, he has over the years always been one to embrace those jokes. I think once politics got introduced to it, and money, yes, of course, he changed. I can't imagine why. Now, if you did hear about the recent interactions concerning Joe Rogan and Ethan Klein, you may well have known that NBC News did an article covering it. How fascinating. The most fascinating part about it for me, though, wasn't so much what they said within the article, but how they led the article. YouTuber Ethan Klein criticizes Joe Rogan for spreading COVID misinformation. And no, I'm not going to be drawn in on anything COOF related, beyond mocking everything else about it, after Klein, who is Jewish, criticized Rogan for pushing vaccine hesitancy. Rogan's fans flooded Twitter with fatphobic and anti-Semitic remarks. Within that alone, you have two separate articles really, don't you? You have Ethan Klein criticizing Joe Rogan for spreading COVID misinformation, and the second being Klein getting a lot of backlash from people online, because it turns out big brave online people will say literally anything to get attention, and they will bait you out knowing you'll write an article on it or someone will block you for it. Joe Rogan of late has had issues when it comes to episodes of his on YouTube being pulled for spreading what they have dubbed COVID misinformation. Those same episodes, though, are still on Spotify, and I wonder if it's because he is the most popular podcaster on the planet, with up to 11 million listeners per episode, which may well go some way as to explain why Ethan Klein has felt it his civic duty to go in on on Joe Rogan knowing that this will give him a lot of publicity, which in turn benefits the H3 brand, which, let's be honest, is not much of a contest when the front person of that particular brand is Ethan Klein. So to our penultimate subject, I want to talk about Amaranth, who I had spoken about last on December the 12th, 2021 as part of a short series called Where Are They Now? It did quite well, and hell, Amaranth herself even replied to it by commenting, which by the way, I was very surprised by, but props to her for actually clarifying some parts. Since that video, Amaranth has continued going from strength to strength by streaming on Twitch. I will admit, because of that comment, I did give her a follow. They are entertaining, by all means check her out. If you want to be a simp for her, go check her out and simp for her. Her business decisions are impressive. Her successes are impressive. And yet people still persevere with this idea of finding a way to remove her from things. And that is where we go now, because Amaranth has yet again been banned from something, although I don't know if she's still banned from it, because hackers decided to rename her account on an application called Just Dance. Amaranth is known for dancing on her streams, so having access to this account will no doubt be a minor inconvenience for the show she puts on. So what did they rename her account from? Well, originally her Just Dance account was called Amaranth, but the hackers decided to give her a more accurate representation of what she is, according to them and some others. I'm not one of them, don't worry. They renamed the account Twitch Slut. Now, according to Amaranth via a tweet on her personal Twitter account, this is the second time her accounts have been hacked, and we are only 4 days in to 2022 at the time she tweeted it out. As a consequence of that hack, she got banned because the name was a breach of the TOS for Just Dance, which I won't deny is amusing. But at the same time, when you start hacking people's accounts just to shut them down, or just for keks and lols, all you're doing is depriving the streamer from doing their job. The same could apply for any form of content creation or person that works online in some capacity. Going after their accounts just because funny, or perhaps you don't like them, is hardly productive, and if anything, all you've done is give Amaranth additional publicity so she can then continue doing what she does exceptionally well. So on to the final subject. This particular subject is a Twitter thread, which surely would mean, oh, it belongs in This Week at Twitter. It does, but I don't have enough space for it for that. And I like it here so I can rail on people who are very sensitive and hypocritical. The Madelyn Heads, a Lord of the Rings podcast. Happy 130th birthday to the legend that started it all, J.R.R. Tolkien. Accompanying that is a picture of the author. Tolkien Society, blue check mark.
Do you have permission to use that image?
Now this spawned a number of replies, much of which has been lost because of protected tweets, which makes it really irritating. So I'm going to skip to another part of the thread. Use Google like the rest of us peons do. Didn't know you were the JRRT police. This is a huge world and the internet is a big place. Protecting one photo of a loved figure will take a lifetime. Is it copyrighted? Please show us that. Tolkien Society, blue checkmark.
It's our photo, and we own the copyright, which we bought for $18,000 at auction.
Did you buy it as an NFT by chance? Another part. Why do they need permission to pay tribute to a historical and beloved person? I found this picture on several sites. Was it supposed to be kept as a secret? Tolkien Society.
Would you be able to provide us with those sites as well, please?
Sounds to me like somebody's going for takedowns. Tolkien Society blue checkmark though. On this day in 2005, at the age of 58, Humphrey Carpenter sadly died. Carpenter wrote the authorized biography of #Tolkien, the Book of the Inklings, and edited the Letters of J.R.R. Tolkien. All three are essential reading and understanding Tolkien the man. Rest in peace, Humphrey. Accompanying this are 3 images of Humphrey Carpenter. Uncle Patrick, do you have permission to use those photographs in a tweet? See what you did there. Tolkien Society.
No, but they aren't required. Images of book covers are covered by fair use.
I wonder if the blowback from all this hypocrisy was why you tweeted out, the Tolkien Society is staffed by volunteers including those who run our social media. Whether you agree with them or not to protect their mental health, we've taken the decision to restrict the Tolkien Society's Twitter profile for a short period of time. Tastes like cope. Tastes like cope. tastes like shit. If you're going to be trigger happy about images like that, you're not going to be respected by anyone. So they're going to hurl everything they've got at you, all because you believe you own the rights to some images. If you want to prove you own them, that's fine. But in reality, those images are on the internet. You'd be hard pressed to remove them because they are going to be everywhere. Anyway, as we're done, I'd love to know what you all think, so please do let me know in the comments down below. If I don't see you on Twitch later, I hope you have a fantastic day and thank you all very much for listening.